It's C-Doc again.
Tuesday night, everybody. What's going on? It's C-Doc again. I'm your host, C-Doc. Welcome to the show. Got an exciting show tonight, of course, but I'm not going to do this by myself. No. Why would I do that when I have such a fantastic crew of co-conspirators? First up, she got her start in classic rap radio. Our lady from the heyday of K-Day, Jennifer O'Jenny.
What's happening?
You're looking good. A little something with the hair, huh?
Oh, maybe it's a little bit of different color. Yeah,
A little something going on there, JOJ.
Actually, maybe it actually has a color now. Yeah.
That's nice. Looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah. How are things?
Singing as usual.
Okay. Well, as long as I know with you, as long as things are singing, it's all right. So it's all good.
Who are we?
Repping Unknown Planet tonight.
Yes, sir.
Word up. I'm repping Forgotten Media. So there you go.
Okay.
Never forget.
There we go.
Also joining us, he has one of the most amazing accounts on Instagram. If you don't follow him, you're a sucker. The Culture Clip King, ladies and gentlemen, Ultramag 7.
Yo, I guess I'm repping Ramo from Beach Street.
Word. Hell yeah.
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 Keeping it hip hop.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, what's good?
What's that? I'm chilling, but I want to thank you, C-Doc, and hello, Miss Jennifer, for sending me this so I have my bookends.
There you go. Yep.
You know, so everybody go get that new Stetsasonic album, you know, Spit Slam.
Yeah.
Check it out. The hip hop band is back.
Hip hop band is back. Word up.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to listen to it yet?
I can say it now. I heard it a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. I haven't had a chance to play the tape. I haven't heard the actual tape. I was curious as to.
No. Actually, I just opened it probably yesterday because then I realized they were liner notes. So I was like, okay, and it won't fit in my cassette case with the plastic on it. So
gotcha.
I had to open it up. But yeah, I've heard the album, but just digitally. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I got to give it a spin in the tape deck just to see how the sound turned out. I'm sure it's good because that place we use A to Z Audio up in Cleveland, Ohio. Give them a shout. They always come through. So.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's not waste any time. Our guest is here, and we're gonna take it back in the rhyme. Yeah, one of the true OGs in this, and I know very little about him, so I'm just gonna sit back and listen and soak this up and hear the story from the Mean Machine, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Mr. Schick.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being here, sir. Thank you. How are you?
Good. A little tired, but all right.
Yeah. As am I. It's been a hell of a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you were a part of a group called the Mean Machine. Let's give everybody your background real quick for those that don't know, because this is serious hip hop school tonight. Yeah, you know, including me, because I know a little bit, but you know, let's take it back to you know, when you got into hip hop, when you decided to become an MC, and what was it like? Because you were there at the beginning, right?
Well, put it to you this way: before I was an MC. Back then, we called ourselves writers. I was a graffiti writer.
Word.
So from 71, even when I was with the Mean Machine, I kind of slowed down. But from 71 to 81, I was painting trains and, what they called bombing the insides.
Yeah.
And so, being a rapper or an MC, that wasn't even in my radar when I first started in 71. It was just painting trains. I got into being an MC. It was accidental, So you want me to just tell?
We'll tell you what, before we get into that, because I'm curious, how did you start painting?
Well, like in 69, 70, I started seeing names all over the place. And I was like, dang, man, where the heck do these guys find time to do this? And, you see a clean wall or a clean train, and next thing you know, the next day, now there's names there. There's names there, and you see the same names. And that, it was grabbing my attention. And as time went on, I'm like, man, I think I want to do this. And so I walked into a neighborhood store on Westchester and Elder Avenue in New York. And I said, I got to find me a name. So I started looking around at everything. And after being in the store 45 minutes, an hour, I saw Schick razor blades. And I said, that's what I'm going to write, Schick. And so I started writing Schick 1. And so that was my name for 10 years. You start out with a magic marker, tagging the insides. Next thing you know, I was going to James Monroe High School. So I was there for 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. Then I got kicked out for truancy. And I went to DeWitt Clinton High School, which was an all-boys school. And lo and behold, like, every big graffiti writer from New York City just about went to that school. So it was like heaven for me there. And so, I started going to a lot of places, train yards, layups, what they call layups, where they park the trains. It just started getting crazy, leaving your house at 11 o'clock at night, coming back home 4 or 5 in the morning, all dirty and painted from being in the train tunnels or layups. And you spend all week what we call racking up paint for your weekend mischief, and pretty much that's how it happened for me as far as the graffiti.
Wow. And it was
go ahead. I was going to talk. I wanted to talk. I'm a toy. I didn't get up on walls and stuff. But can you tell us about like racking up? So you would explain the process.
Okay. So basically, racking up, you're stealing paint.
Yeah.
And so because you're a kid, you're like 13, 14, you can't afford to buy paint. So you'd find stores that were easy to get paint from. So even though you're from the Bronx, you're going to Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens. You're trying to find new stores that are easy to rack paint up. And once you find them, it's only you and your little crew try to keep it a secret so nobody else will go and make the stores hot, because that way you can just keep going back to them. And that's how we get our paint and markers.
What was back then? Was it like Red Devil or what was
you had Red Devil, Rust-Oleum, Krylon, and then you'd go to the supermarkets. Like now you can buy your spray paint caps to spray paint different thicknesses from real thin to real wide. Well, back then, those caps weren't invented yet. So we used to go to the supermarkets and the Jaffoam oven cleaner, we'd open them up, put the cap in our mouth, close it, and, have about 5 or 6, 7 caps in our mouth. And we'd use those. That's what we call fat caps. And they would spray the paint real wide. And so that's where that that fat cap thing started from, because you'd have to use it to fill in whatever you drew. It would fill in faster,
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Did you run with any crews back then? Like, what was your grad crew?
Well, actually, the last crew that we had was called Salsa, SALSA, and it was five guys that started it. Me and a guy named FDT 56, a guy named Chrome 100, a guy named Game 5, and Pax. 2 of us were from the Bronx. The other 3 were from Manhattan. But, you know, and in that crew, even Spike Lee's younger brother was in our crew. His name, his graffiti name was Shadow 1. He passed away not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was in our crew too.
Wow.
But you know,
that's amazing.
You got rappers that were graffiti writers.
Sure.
You know, you got like from the Fearless 4, Peso 131. He was a graffiti writer. You know, you got KRS-One. He was a graffiti writer. You got even Bambaataa. He wrote Bambaataa 117, but he wasn't big time. He was like small time, you know, neighborhood writing. You know, you'd see his name because we went to the same high school. And in fact, Bronx River was like a block and a half from where I lived. Like I lived on the corner of Elder Avenue, and I think it was 172nd. I can't really remember now. It's been so long. But on the other corner was Bronx River. You know, and then I'd walk a half a block over, and there were the Bronx River projects there. I used to go there in the summer to swim in the project swimming pool, but that's where all those Soul Sonic Force, Africa Bambaataa, all these guys, that's where they came from.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell people about the, you know, because some people may not realize how incredibly illegal and dangerous some of that, you know, the writing was.
Yeah, well, check it out. Today, these guys are doing tremendous things, right, on the walls and all that, but that's legal now.
Yeah.
Okay, when we were doing it, you know, they couldn't do that in our time period because you're going to a train tunnel or you're going on the train tracks, walking the tracks to the middle track where the express train would run, and they're parked there at night to paint. Now, you're painting, but at the same time, you got to look left, you got to look right, as you're painting all the time, constantly looking for cops or looking for other guys that are from other cliques, you know, that could fight you for your paint. You're in the wrong neighborhood, you know, you could get your butt whipped. You know, there's a lot that make it easy for them today. You know, they have special paint, you know, low pressure paint, so they can do their things and look like they know how to handle the paint really well. So, you know, back then you had to really handle it good if you didn't want it to drip. Yeah. You had to be quick, you know, with your strokes. Because if you slow down, your paint is dripping.
What was so after you're doing this for a while, what kept you coming back
to graffiti? Yeah. Oh man, it's an addiction, man. Because don't you see, you paint something in the Bronx, but here it is all in Brooklyn. It's, you know, your artwork is moving everywhere. And just like I used to wonder, who are these guys that later on I got to meet? You know, then there's other people looking at my stuff going, who is this guy? Then when they meet me, you know, it's almost like being a ghetto superstar, man. They go crazy over you. Yeah. It was weird, but, you know, it was all for the thrill.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, so during this time, hip hop starts becoming a thing. And what was it like for you, like experiencing it as it's happening?
Well, all over, man. Sometimes we're painting on trains and there's a jam happening in a park and you could hear it. we're not too far away painting trains. So we're enjoying the scene while not even being there painting trains. And then we'd finish, and a lot of times we'd go down to the block, not block parties, but the street jams or the park jams. And, sometimes depending on where you were at, if it was in the Bronx, I felt more comfortable, or if it was like you're painting trains in Manhattan and something was happening, I felt comfortable. But, like going to Brooklyn and painting or whatever, and then you go to a park jam or something because you hear the music, I didn't feel too comfortable in places where if something went down, I didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
Because in your neighborhood, the safe spots if something goes down. And but it was crazy, man. But it was fun. It was fun. It's to get to live in the Bronx before this culture started, and then seeing it evolve from nothing, and then from little park jams to cassette tapes, people selling the cassette tapes, to it going to the parks, then from there to the clubs, then from the clubs, all of a sudden there's records. Not everybody gets to see something from the beginning when it was born all the way to what it is now, man. And I'm like, holy cow, never in a million years would I have ever thought that this thing would have been taken this far.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of people that never would have left the city to places where they never would have imagined they've ever been.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So I feel blessed, I feel, but and not only that, graffiti, when I left the rap game, graffiti was what got me doing what I do today here, in South Carolina. I mean, when I came here, I got into the graphics industry. And I do large format advertising. Like, you ever seen the MTV? I think they called it Spring Fling or Spring Bling, whatever, where they used to do like the shows in the beaches and all that stuff. And the stage would have these big backdrops.
Yeah,
I'm the guy that did the backdrops.
Wow.
Whether it was for Janet Jackson, whoever.
Yeah. Wow.
And so that's why I used to kind of like sometimes watch MTV for that sometimes, just to see my backdrops or whatever. But it's pretty cool, man. I feel blessed because I didn't go to college. So and I was able to make a living, buy a house, own a few cars. They may not be 2024, but I'm living debt free.
Yeah.
All because of graffiti.
Yeah.
I think if I would have stayed in the rap game and nothing bad happened in the rap game for us, I probably wouldn't own nothing because I'd still be living in New York.
Yeah.
And so I consider it a blessing what happened. I now, back then I didn't, but now because I look at a lot of the guys, man, and they're famous, but there's people that are famous poor people. I'm not saying everybody, but you got some famous guys that don't own anything, man. Except the name on their back and their fame.
Yeah.
Not all of them were blessed.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the rap game, let's talk about the meme machine.
Yes, sir. What do you want to know?
How did it come together? How did it start? Well,
the Meme Machine was a group that was already established. And I lived on an area in the Bronx. At this stage of my life, I lived in an area in the Bronx near Fordham Road and Jerome Avenue, Grand Avenue on 183rd. And my father owned a grocery store, a bodega, right? And across the street lived the leader of the Meme Machine, which was Julio. And so then that's how I knew him, because my father, when business was slow, he would ask Julio to bring his stuff down and play music. because music draws the crowd, which draws business.
Right.
So, and I tell everybody, I don't know if, I never seen any money exchange, but I'm pretty sure my dad paid him because nobody's going to bring their equipment for free.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure my dad paid him. And so that's how I got to know him. Then one day, some time went by, and my dad decides, to move the family to South Carolina, because I have family here in South Carolina. Because I've always used to come here since the early 60s for vacation, visiting my uncle. And once they moved, I told my dad, hey, I'm going to stay in New York. And he said, all right, if that's what you want. I said, yeah, that's what I want. By then, I was already, I don't know, 21 maybe, something like that. I was in 20, 21, 22, something like that. And a little time went by and I lost my apartment. I mean, not lost my apartment. I lost my job. And because I lost my job, I lost my apartment. So now I find myself living in the streets. I'm homeless. And so I'm living in an abandoned building on the top floor and, sometimes sleeping in abandoned cars. But while sleeping in the abandoned buildings in the wintertime, I would take newspapers and stuff them all in my body for insulation, right? Wow. And then, and say the room was square, I'd go to sleep the corner opposite the door, and I'd be kind of like in the fetal position because if anybody walked in, I could see them before they saw me.
Yeah.
Because junkies would come and get high, shoot up and so I didn't want anybody to catch me by surprise. And then for food, I used to get up early and steal bread from the bread man that used to make deliveries. And back then they used to deliver milk too in those glass quart jugs.
Yep.
So I'd steal a quart all the time. And also stealing food from the supermarkets. So I was homeless for almost a year and a half. Wow. Okay, living in the streets. Man, eating food out of garbage sometimes that I thought, you find yourself doing things that never in your life you thought you'd do.
Yeah.
And so then one day I run into Julio and I said, hey, Julio, man, you mind if I carry your equipment for a little bit of food money? And they said, yeah. So then on the weekends, at least I knew, hey, I get to carry some equipment and I'll make me some food money. I don't have to steal.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that for them. And so, some months went by. I get to hear them practice, And so, it's like hearing a record. You start memorizing everything that's happening.
Yeah.
All their practices and everything. And then one day, one of the guys goes to jail. And when he goes to jail, they already committed to some show, so they have to find a replacement, temporary replacement. So they couldn't find anybody at the time. And Julio's son, at that time, he wasn't 10, he was 9 or 8, I can't remember, said, Daddy, Danny can do it. And, they're looking at me like, I'm Danny, the homeless guy, And so, they give you that look. But then after a while, they said, all right, get up on the mic. And so I did their routine with them. And they said, all right, we'll use you as a temporary replacement until he gets out of jail. So I said, all right. So they went and bought me some clothes because I was homeless, for stage.
Yeah.
And so, we do our shows. I get on stage with the clothes they bought or whatever. And then when the show would finish, I would have to take the clothes off, give it back to them. And then, they clean them and do whatever ready for the next show. And so I did that for a while. Then the guy comes out of jail. So I'm back to Danny carrying the equipment and the guy gets his position back. Once he gets his position back, they start doing shows. I'm okay carrying the equipment. I'm not making as much money as when you're performing, but, I was able to eat without stealing. Then the guy, some months went by, the guy does something else. He goes to jail for 7 years.
Wow.
So then they tell me, hey, we're going to use you as a temporary until we find a permanent replacement, right? So I said, all right. So I did shows with them, and, I was starting to like this thing. And so they started letting me sleep in their studio so I wouldn't have to sleep in the streets. So I'm in the studio at nights by myself, so I would practice by myself. Then one day I'm thinking, man, nobody's doing this in Spanish. And I said, I'm going to start writing some Spanish lyrics. I don't know why the thought came to my head, but it did. And it wasn't like I'm going to be the first guy to do this. No, that thought wasn't even in my head. I just wanted to do it in my language.
Right.
And so I started writing rhymes. Didn't tell anybody in the group that I had Spanish rhymes. I would practice them by myself in front of the mirror, the mic in front of the mirror, and just practicing by myself at night. Never told the group. I mean, months went by. I had Spanish rhymes. Never told the group, never done them in front of anybody. Then one day, we have a show to do at the beach. It was in Brooklyn. It was Brighton Beach or Coney Island Beach. I tell everybody, I don't remember which one. But when we're going there, we get out of the van, and I'm like, holy crap, man. It was a scary situation. Like it looked scary. It wasn't a scary situation, but it looked scary to me because it was nothing but a lot of gangs flying their colors and stuff like that, But it was predominantly like almost half and half black, half Latinos, right? And it's a beach, so there's thousands of people. The beach is crowded on a hot summer day. And I said, this is where I'm going to do the Spanish rhymes. That's the thought that came to my head because there was a crap load of Spanish-speaking people there.
Right.
And I didn't tell the group. It was time for us to get on. They put us on a roof. I said stage, but they put us on a roof so everybody could see us from the beach. And it's time to start. The DJ starts playing. And Julio does his thing. Jimmy does his. And I open my mouth, man. I start rhyming in Spanish, and as I'm rhyming in Spanish, the crowd roared, man. They roared so loud. To me, it may not have been like that to everybody, but to me, it sounded like thunder. The roar was so loud, but at the same time, Julio and Jimmy turned their heads to me like, "We're gonna kill you." But when they heard the crowd. Their faces changed, the look on their faces changed. And then when that was over and we stepped down from the roof and I go down to the crowd, every face that looked scary that was wearing these gang colors, man, they're all high-fiving me, giving me big hugs. It's like now we got a representative. And so then after that show, Mean Machine made me permanent. I'm no longer a temporary, and they said, and we're going to use Spanish in all our shows, and that's how it started. And the crazy thing is, I fell into this accidentally. It wasn't like I was looking to be an MC.
Yeah.
Hard times put me in that situation.
Yeah.
And it blessed me.
Yeah.
But if imagine if I wouldn't have been humble enough to say, yo, can I carry your equipment for a little bit of food money, I never would have had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. But what years was this around?
I joined Mean Machine in 79, right?
Okay.
In 1980, I had Spanish rhymes.
Okay.
So we were rhyming in Spanish in 1980 before we had a record deal. Then in 81 was when we recorded. And Jimmy and Julio, they went to Sugar Hill, right? To see if they could put us on, let us on the roster and sign us. they went there, no appointment, no nothing. And they asked them, you know, what are you here for? They said, we'd like to speak to Miss Robinson. Now, this they tell me afterwards. They didn't have an appointment, so they couldn't get Miss Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked, could they wait? And they say, if you want to wait, you know, you can sit down. You know, you might sit there all day and not even get to talk to her. But they took the chance and they sat there. Almost at the end of the day, Miss Robinson comes out and asks them, how could she help them? And they explained to her that they're rappers and they came to see if she could give them a record deal. And she said, you know, you have a demo? They said, we don't have anything on us. She goes, come back next week with a demo and we'll see what we can do. Mm-hmm. So they go back to the Bronx and they tell me and Mr. Nice, our DJ. And so, you know, we got kind of happy. Couldn't sleep that night because I'm like, man. But anyway, the next day, we told our DJ to mix Dance to the Drummer's Beat for us. And so he did. And it was time to lay our vocals. But then for some reason, something told me, don't put any Spanish rap on it. And so I told the guys, I'm not going to put any Spanish rhymes on this. I'm not even going to rhyme on it. And I said, I'd rather just take an empty track, give it to her, let her play it, and we do it live. And because I said, you know, what if she tells us, nah, I don't like you guys, and she keeps the tape and doesn't give it back to us? She could give my Spanish lyrics to somebody else. I said, nah. And I don't know why I thought that, but that was what went through my head. So we took a Dance to the Drummer's Beat, no vocals. She played it and she said, where are the lyrics? Said, we're going to do it live for you. Okay, so she gave it a little rewind, played it back, and it was Miss Robinson, Joe Robinson, her husband, and Jigs Chase. You know, he'd arranged the music and all that stuff. And a white guy named Milton. So none of them spoke Spanish. When I rhymed in Spanish to Dance to the Drummer's Beat, they were all bobbing their heads. They didn't know what I was saying. But she just shut the tape off and she said, okay, come back next week. We'll have contracts for you. So we left out of there happy and went back next week. And, you know, Jimmy's mother had to come because Jimmy was 15. All of us were in our 20s, but Jimmy was 15. He was underage, so his mother had to sign for him.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, Jimmy had the deepest voice.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But so, and that's how we got signed, you know.
But you were actually the first one to ever rap in Spanish, correct?
Yeah, yes. I'm the first person, or the first MC to rap in Spanish on a record. Crazy. You know, back when I rapped in Spanish in the Bronx or wherever we did, I never heard anybody rap. And that's not to say there may have been others.
Yeah.
I just never heard them because nobody can really claim to be the first.
Right.
Because somebody in, you know, around the globe. Now, there were other people like, okay, say like Rodney Dangerfield. He did a rap record, right?
Right.
He's not, but he wasn't part of hip hop. He's not an MC, right?
Right.
He just did a novelty record. Okay, well, that's what happened in the Spanish language. I find out later on that there were comedians or singers that are not part of the culture that try to jump on the bandwagon to make some money, you know? But as far as being the first MC to rap in Spanish on a record, that was me.
Wow.
That was you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like, I did it, but I didn't think like, yo, I'm the first guy to ever do this.
Yeah, sure.
I, you know, that didn't even cross my mind.
Right.
I just loved the crowd's reaction whenever I did do it because they'd go crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And it was, you know, it took us in a different vein too. We didn't go back then there was no hip hop tours. They stuck rappers, the few rappers that had records, they stuck them with R&B and funk bands.
Yep.
Or disco. That was kind of like the tail end. But with us, not only that, but we not toured, but we opened up a lot of shows for a lot of Latin artists. Famous like Tito Puente and some of the Fania people. We opened up for them, and we even opened up for people like Richard Dimple Fields. I don't know if you remember him. Opened up for what's that guy? Rick Springfield. You guys, in New Jersey, and when we did that show, it's like, what were they thinking? But it worked out. I mean, the people, they were okay with it. We didn't get booed.
Oh, that's great.
For Jesse's girl.
Yeah, Jesse's girl. Right.
Yeah. And so, it took us in a different vein. And so we did some shows with it. A lot of times I don't remember, but then I hear them on the radio and I remember doing shows with these people,
Yeah.
Frankie Beverly and Mays, Yarborough, and the Gap Band. Confunction. There's so many. Clear. Oh man. What's the people? Oh man, the people that sing. Don't you stop the music? Don't you stop it? Yeah. Is it Yarborough people?
Yarborough Peoples, isn't it? Is it Yarborough Peoples?
Yeah. So so it was fun, man. It was fun. Besides, touring with the groups on Sugar Hill and stuff like that.
Right.
Because we were on that Sugar Hill review even before we had a record. I mean, once we signed the contract, Miss Robinson threw us on tour with them too. We opened up for them, for all those guys. Or for most of those guys.
Right. What was it like making the record?
What was it like? Oh man. Like I said, we had Dance to the Drummer's Beat. That was going to be our music to the first record, right? And, because we dug the way they did Grandmaster Flash and the Fury 5 Freedom, because it sounded just like Get Up and Dance. It sounded just like the record.
Yeah.
Then when they did Rapper's Delight, it sounded just like Good Times.
Yep.
I mean, so we figured, shoot, man, they could duplicate this. So we got Dance to the Drummer's Beat. They gave us a track. We took it home. We played it. Man, it didn't sound right. It didn't sound like Dance to the Drummer's Beat. I mean, it was, I can't say it wasn't the same, as far as the drums and everything, but just the sound wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, why they do theirs exactly like the record? Why couldn't they do ours like the record? So then we kind of took it back and said, hey, Miss Robinson, we had our DJ mix up Grace Jones, pull up to the bumper. Is it pull up to my bumper or pull up to the bumper? I can't remember. But anyway, we had our DJ mix that up. So we took it to them and she said, okay. And they did it, right? And we're like, man, they didn't do it like the record. It don't sound like the record, And so, but we were like, we're stuck with it because we can't complain too much because they might tell us, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You're wasting too much studio money. And so we just went with the flow with that. So we just recorded that. We went in, the guys already laid the track. There was still some final things to be added, but the basic track was there. And we go to lay our vocals. There's 3 mics. We're just looking at each other like a circle, like a triangle. And they play the music. I think maybe, I can't remember if we just did it in 2 takes. And so the wepa thing, that was an accident. Not the whole thing, but we were just supposed to say wepa ainama, right?
Yeah.
But I'm the only guy in the group that was fluent in Spanish. The other guys, though they were Puerto Ricans, they can't hold a conversation, but they know words. And if I were to speak, they'd understand everything I was saying, but they would have to respond to me either in English or kind of Spanglish, English with a few Spanish words.
Right.
So they were supposed to say wepa with me, but they fell back one. So when I said wepa, they didn't come in time, and they said wepa. So that's how it ended up with wepa. And to me, and so then I thought, man, that sounds better to me than one.
Right.
And so, and then there was the kind of back then. Now it's not fast, but for those times, the little quick spot that I do, the short shocking body rocking. Jimmy wanted to jump in, man, and I'm like, yo, Jimmy, because even in shows, he'd always say that with me in shows, and I'm like, Jimmy, man, let me shine for a little bit, You got your parts, don't jump in on my part. But he never listened, because he was 15, so he didn't care. I like that, so he always jumped in that. And so we did it in 2 takes, and then she goes, what are you going to call it? And we said, we don't know yet. We'll come back the next time with a name. Well, she didn't even give us a next time. The first thing that comes out of the record is with a disco dream, call me machine. So she labeled it like, I don't know if she just wrote on it disco dream just so it'll have something in the meantime, but it stayed with that name.
Wow.
Yep.
The fast rapping. So I'm thinking I know new rap language, I think came out like 81 by the Treacherous 3. So had you heard that, or were you already doing that?
No. They did it first. That's what influenced me. When I heard that, I said, oh man, I like this. I'm gonna sit down and write, one for myself. So then I sat in the couch in the studio, and in about 5-10 minutes, I just wrote that little quick piece. And I said, oh, shoot, I'm going to use it. And I started using it. And then every time I use it, Jimmy would be right there. And I love Jimmy because to me, like out of everybody in the group, between him, me, and Julio, I was closer to Jimmy. But it was more, you had to babysit him. Because at 15... like Jimmy, man, put away your money. Don't, because back then you get the money and right away flashing it. You know how these young kids are.
Yeah.
And so we're like, Jimmy, put away your money, man. They're going to take it from you. Well, one day we're doing a show. I don't even remember where, but now it's time to go back to the hotel. Well, a girl goes with Jimmy. When he wakes up in the morning, she's gone. He's got no money. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But Jimmy, the hard way. And we used to hang out a lot in a club called Harlem World. Before we had a record. Yeah. And so we'd be there, and because Julio was like the handyman there. He'd do a lot of the electrical work, anything the owner, Fat Jack, needed, Julio would do. And so we never paid to go in there. So that's why we were there all the time, because Julio's connection, because he was the handyman. But one day, Fat Jack surprised us and gave us a yellow Cadillac. It wasn't like a brand new one, but it was a Fleetwood Brougham Cadillac, and canary yellow. It was probably about, I don't know, maybe 5 years old, and could have been 6, but it was still looking new, And so everywhere we went, we'd take that with us or whatever. And Jimmy'd always, man, let me drive. And we'd never let him drive, And so one day bugged Julio so much that Julio let him, okay, take the car. Well, he comes back to us. He got in an accident, right? Not with anybody, but he got in an accident, crashed the car, ran away from the scene.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
So
man.
that car was destroyed.
Oh.
Come on,
messy.
Jimmy.
Something tells me Jimmy needed to be strapped up in the back seat.
Oh no, you had to watch him. I mean, you had to. It was babysitting 24/7. And well, the thing about it was this. I was homeless, right? So I lived in the studio for a certain amount of time because then I found one of my aunts, and at the time she started letting me stay with her. This was before we had a record. And I always forget about her because you get so into the telling the story that there's things you forget. But, so I just want to say thank you to her. She's not alive anymore, but, she kept me from being in the streets. So
Right.
I just want to thank her for that. But Jimmy, man, you had to watch him all the time. And then shortly after his mother passed away, so then, here, me, Jimmy, and then Mr. Nice, and then another point, Julio, we were all living in the studio, because of certain situations that happened to, everybody had their own little situation that we ended up living in the studio. And so, but it worked.
What was Cool Cliff in the group? Because he had to be younger than Jimmy, right? Or
Oh yeah. Cool Cliff. By the time the record came out, Cool Cliff was 10 years old. Okay. Now, Cool Cliff was Julio's son. Okay. And so he's the guy that said, Daddy can do it. Okay. So what happened was in the summer, when there was no more school and he didn't have to go to school, we'd take him with us whenever we were doing shows and we'd let him do a rhyme or two on stage. And people will go crazy because it's a little kid, rapping.
Yeah.
And so he'd love it. The crowd loved it. So we took him with us in the summer. And so that's where the whole deal, his name was Clifford and we just started calling him Cool Cliff. And, that was his little MC name. But, he also passed away.
Wow.
Yeah, something tragic happened. And he ended up passing away. I thought he was 14 when he passed, but I think his sister told me, I think he may have been 18, 17 or 18 when he passed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so Jimmy, I hate it because, to be honest with you, I think if Jimmy was alive, I think I would have probably done something, attempted to do something, because then it would have been all three of us, But, with him being gone, I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same, man. And I don't know if it's just me, but that, maybe later on I might change my mind because I've gotten offers from promoters for old school shows.
Yeah.
I've gotten offers for to record, especially with a lot of these groups from Latin countries. They contact me and they want me to put a verse on a record with them. And I'm like, man, and they're like, man, we just want to have the first guy to ever do it in our language on record, with us. We don't care if we don't even ever put it out or if it sells one record or if it sells 1 million, so, and I tell them when I'm ready, I'll let you guys know. But right now, and so, but, who knows, maybe I'll do something for fun one day.
That'd be dope. Yeah. So for Sugar Hill, you guys only did the one record.
Yes, for Sugar Hill, we did the one record. Then there was something else on Honey Hush called At the Party by the Mean Machine. And also You're the Only One, which that one had, singing in it. Because by that time, after we recorded with Sugar Hill, we added one more person to the group, and his name was Butch Kid. And he was a singer. And so, because we wanted to incorporate singing with rapping back then. And so, he'd do shows with us too. And he recorded that You're the Only One, and he's also on At the Party. And then I recorded something else with them because when I left, I said, I'm not going to stay here I didn't tell that part yet.
Not yet.
No. But what happened was we had an interview with WBLS, Frankie Crocker. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Frankie Crocker.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So we're at WBLS, and one of the questions he asked was, how does it feel like everywhere you go this summer, people are blasting your record out of the cars, the beaches, out the windows. You can't walk anywhere in New York City without hearing it. Well, instead of answering the question, Jimmy starts talking about... Jimmy starts bad-mouthing Sugar Hill.
Oh.
And so, the thing is, one of their groups has an interview at BLS. They're going to be listening.
Yeah.
And Jimmy starts talking about the money not being right, this and that. He goes on. And, well, when we get back to Sugar Hill, they sit us down. And they start yelling at us, pointing fingers, talking about we need to stay out of the politics of the business. They went on, and they're like, we're going to shelve you. You're not going to record anymore. We're not going to release you from your contract. Your careers are going to fizzle and die. And so after that, we still kept doing shows and touring because the record was still being played.
Yeah.
But once they stopped playing it, there went the shows. So I told the guys, I'm not going to stick around in New York and be homeless again. I'm going to South Carolina with my family. And so that's how I left,
Wow.
But
what year was that?
I want to say, I think it was 82.
Okay.
I believe so. 82, or it even could have been the beginning of 83, but it was somewhere in there. And I moved here. And then while living here in 83, I was doing Christian rap, know. And so, but I say doing, I was writing Christian rap. But the thing about it was there was no such thing as Christian rap. And, I couldn't do it in churches because there was no such thing. They're not going to let you.
Yeah.
And so nobody would record it because they didn't believe in that, Christian rap, and so I just put it on the show. I could claim for being the first Christian rapper, but I never do. I never do because I don't have physical evidence. You know what I mean?
Right.
At least I could claim the Spanish rap because I got a recording and it's marked 1981.
Right.
And so though I started rapping in Spanish in 80.
Right.
But yeah. And that was and then one time I can't remember what Julio and Jimmy went to Sugar Hill Record Studios for, but I believe Joe Robinson wasn't there, because if Joe Robinson was there, I don't think what Jimmy did would have went down. Jimmy probably would have got hurt. And someone told me this and said that, a famous rapper told this person that Jimmy took one of the soundboards, and destroyed it, right? because of whatever happened.
Right.
He got ticked off and just went crazy in the studio. And so I thought, man, I never heard that story. Julio never told me that. Jimmy never told me that. I don't know if that's true. Well, I said, I'm going to have to check up on this. So then, back then, I was still connected with Julio. So I said, Julio, did this ever happen? He said, yeah, it happened. I said, why? And he explained to me, and, you know, and I said, man, I never heard that. He said, yeah, man, Jimmy went crazy on that board. And I'm surprised. That's why I say, you know, Joe Robinson couldn't have been there because he would have took care of Jimmy, put him in his place. Jimmy probably wouldn't have been able to walk.
Right. Right.
But yeah.
Wow.
Jimmy, Mac, come on.
Jimmy. Yeah, man. I miss that guy. He was fun, man. He was fun. But you pretty much had to be a parent to him, you know?
Yeah.
Because he was still in high school. I think he was like in 11th grade. So, and, you know, a lot of times we come back from tour, and where does he want to go? Straight to the high school. You know, just I just got back from tour. You know, it's Jimmy. But so he lived in Bronx River. So he, you know, he'd come back a lot of times talking about, I did something with Jazzy J and this and that. He's always talking about the Bronx River people. You know, I think he lived in the building next door to one of the guys from Soul Sonic Force, Mr. Biggs, because Mr. Biggs told me that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking to Mr. Biggs, and he told me, Jimmy lived in the building next to mine.
Wow. Where can you give us like some of the places that you like toured, like did shows at?
Shoot. In the US, pretty much most of the states did the Virgin Islands, you know. Overseas, we didn't get to go overseas, but just like you want actual places like
I mean just like city, you know, locations.
Well, we did with Sugar Hill. We did the Sugar Hill Review, which took us all over, man. Pretty much, it was us, Grandmaster. Oh no, not Grandmaster Flash, but the Furious Five. Us, the Furious Five, and the group, the Sequence.
Yeah.
We all shared one tour bus. Sylvia Robinson put us together on one tour bus. So that was like it was pretty cool, you know. That was the first time. In fact, we didn't even have records then yet. And so that was right before we recorded. And so it was a new experience going from, you know, New York shows to, you know, going the Chitlin Circus circuit, you know, which to me was, you know, the Southern route, all the Southern states.
Yeah.
Then the Midwest. Even here, like, the nice thing, I had family here already in South Carolina. So when we came to do shows here in the Coliseum here, you know, I was able to have family here. So that was pretty cool. You know, wherever there was family, you know, it was always nice, man.
Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting to see like how early on how hip hop traveled, you know, for people to see it. That's like, you know, interesting, you know.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. But it's different, you know, it was when you first leave New York, because in New York they were already used to it.
Right.
So then now you get these people that they're learning about hip hop because of Rapper's Delight. That's their first connection to rap music. And so now, you know, they're hearing all these other groups, and you know, who knows? It probably was all new to them, you know, because we didn't have a record, but they enjoyed us too. You know, it was nice. You know, there was actually The We Wanna Rock record. We Wanna Rock. You're familiar with that record, Crash Crew?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you a little story about that. We were gonna we recorded our record, but now it's time to do audience participation, you know. And usually when you hear a lot of those old records, the audience participation was usually done by the same people that are doing the vocals, the group.
Right.
Right. So we were like, man, we want ours to sound full. So Julio's mother worked at a youth center. And you ever heard of Joe Conzo?
Yeah, with the photographer. Yeah.
So Julio's mother and Joe Conzo's mother worked at that youth center. And so we went there and we got the youth from that center, put them in our van. We just stuffed them all in our van. We went straight to when we went to New Jersey to the Sugar Hill Studios, and because we were going there to record the audience participation stuff. Well, when we got there a little early, so Crash Crew was recording the We Wanna Rock. They were getting ready to lay their vocals and stuff, so we were talking and all this, and so we thought, wait, we got the crowd, might as well use them too for your record, for the audience participation. So when you hear We Wanna Rock, the beginning, a little girl goes, "Give it to me, baby," or whatever.
Yeah.
That was one of the kids. That was one of the little girls from the center, And
Wow.
so, yeah, and so the same group of kids that did their crowd, they did our crowd.
Yeah.
And then Sylvia Robinson sees this hanging from my neck, and she asked me, "What's that?" I said, "It's a Latin percussion whistle," because I used to use it all the time in the shows and different things. And she goes, "Use it on the record." So, she puts me on We Wanna Rock. She goes, "Blow the whistle." And so I said, "All right, I'll try it." And the cool thing about this is that these two things here, there's holes, and then you got this hole. So you get 3 different sounds out of the whistle, right? And so you can play by, the same way people play flutes with the holes. Well, you play your whistle with these holes, like covering 2, covering 1, leaving them all open, so you get different sounds. So you could play, kind of rhythms and things. And so that was pretty cool.
Wow.
And then I got my old belt buckle. This is the original.
Wow.
I mean, this thing, I've had it since 1972.
Wow.
And you see a lot of these in pictures, but this is the original.
Where'd you get that made at?
No, you buy back then you went to the store, these little Chinese shops.
Yeah.
You get the frame, which is here, and then if you look at the back, you put each letter in yourself. And there's a metal bar here that you screw on, and it holds all the letters in place. So they just have the alphabet, and anybody can go by and put their name themselves.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. But I mean, back then in the 70s, everybody had that belt buckle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm just surprised I haven't lost it.
Right.
Wow.
Needs to be in the museum.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to put that in the hip hop museum.
Seriously.
Yeah. I don't know if that'll ever happen though.
You got to call P Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Paradise Gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess old Mellow Man couldn't make it, huh?
Oh, I get it, maybe.
I guess.
Jennifer's on it.
It's all right. It's all right if he can't make it. Yeah. Hey, but I'll tell you this, man. I gotta thank him, man, because if it wasn't for that guy, I'd still be hidden away, man. You know, because it was crazy how we found each other. Well, I didn't find him. but it was one of my younger cousins. You know, one of my younger cousins seen an interview that Mellow Man Ace was having on Gully TV, and he mentioned me as being, as being the influence that the person that influenced him to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, and so when my cousin heard that, he just kind of hashtagged him. Hey, thanks for bigging up my cousin Danny Rivera, Mr. Schick of the Mean Machine Ball. And it was like, what? That's your cousin for real? You know, and so then he just wanted my number, and my cousin said, well, let me call him up and see if he'll let me give it. And so I said, yeah, give it to him. And he called me up. And when he called me up, we talked, I don't know, 20 minutes, half hour, I don't know. And, he was asking me all kinds of questions, man. Like he said, it was to make sure that I'm the guy.
Yeah.
That I'm not somebody impersonating him.
Right.
And so then after that, he's like, connected with me on Facebook. And then he's like, he was telling me, man, I just want to thank you, man, for, he mentioned a few things, but then he's like, because of you, I never had to work a day in my life, and I'm thinking, man, and here I am having to work, no, but the thing was, then he's like, yo, if you're ever in California, let me know where you're at, and I'll drive to where you're at to meet you in person. And I said, well, it's funny because in 3 weeks I will be in California. I'll be in Palm Springs doing some graphics for BMW out there. And so he goes, all right, just shoot me the address and I'll be there. And when I got there, gave him the address and he came down, man, and we hung out for a good little while. And and we met in person and, took a few pictures. His son took a few pictures of us. And then he's like, yo, do me a favor, man. Can you do your verse for me? And so I said, all right. So in the living room of the Airbnb that we were staying at, he just filmed it, me just rapping in Spanish. And that clip, I mean, people done little videos of it or whatever. And it's all over the internet, really. And so he wrote something about me, on Facebook, kind of like a little tribute. And then he tells me, don't be surprised if people start coming out of the woodworks, And so I didn't think anything of it, man. I wake up the next day and there's about 600 and something messages from people all over Latin America, people in Asia, people in Europe. It's crazy, man. And even in America, like I didn't know,
Yeah.
I thought people had totally forgot about me, but man, these people, they were like, no. And then on top of that, come to find out, we didn't do too bad in Latin America, according to a lot of the people that I've talked to that have heard me out there. But, Sugar Hill, we didn't do good out there, according to them. But it's crazy, man, how I get all these people. Yeah, I used to imitate you or this or that, and I'm like, oh shit. But anyway, man.
I used to say I was a kid, and when that song would come on, and this was before I took like Spanish I started taking Spanish in middle school. So I was just saying the lyrics and I didn't know what I was saying. But that was the jam. I remember me and my brother used to listen to that song and we loved that. Yeah.
Yeah. The crazy thing is like that portion that they gave me, I wanted to have it a little longer, but that's what they gave me, because it was sort of like a trial. Experiment. It was an experiment to them. So they didn't want to put too much. And I'm like, man, knowing what I knew because of what happened in the live performances, I'm thinking, man, even if I put a little more, it's still gonna work, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
But then I figured, you know what? Let me throw a little, like I said something in Spanish, and I kind of said what it meant. You know,
Yeah.
like when I said "tiren sus manos al aire" means throw your hands in the air, because I didn't want people to feel left.
Right,
You know?
Right.
And then "y sigan con el baile" means dance your body like you just don't care. You know, so I kind of threw that in there just to kind of not leave the
Oh,
English
man.
speaking people in the dark.
Whew.
But
And in the process, just develop something that was way ahead of its time.
yeah, no, and the
Yes.
thing was, like I said, I used to do the MTV things. So here I am, I'm in my house in South Carolina, and this was like, I don't know, maybe 9, I thought it was 10 years, but maybe it's 9 years later. I'm vacuuming the floor, the TV's on, because I was channel surfing, boom. And I hear this guy that's supposed to come on to rap. So I said, oh, let me check it out. And the guy starts off in English, then switches to Spanish, then English, Spanish. And I'm like, oh, shoot, man. And at that moment was when I realized I was the first guy to do this. That's when it hit me. You know, I was
Wow.
the first guy to do this. And that was Mellow Man Ace that I saw on TV. And little did I know that I was the one that inspired him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I would have never imagined that.
Wow.
You know. And then he tells me, that he was always asking for me whenever he's in New York and nobody knew where I was, and you know, and he'd always mention me in his interviews, in a lot of his interviews. And at first I thought, in a lot of the interviews, so I went back and I started looking at some of his interviews, and he was telling the truth, man. He'd mention me, you know.
Wow.
But he's
That's
a pretty
amazing.
cool guy, man. So if it
He
wasn't
is.
for him, man, nobody find me. Nobody would know where I live or what
Yeah.
I'm doing today.
Hmm.
You know. So
Wow.
I gotta thank him, man. I gotta thank him. You know,
That's
to me,
amazing.
he's my brother for life.
Yeah.
You know.
That's dope. Schick,
Yes.
do you remember the last time you were on stage?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I walked off. I'll tell you why. Because towards the end, after all that stuff happened with Sugar Hill,
Yeah.
you know, someone invited me to church, and I went to church. And I grew up in a Christian home, you know. So, my 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 mother, she was a Spanish gospel singer, and so, you know, all my brothers and sisters sang. The only one that couldn't sing was me, because it was weird. I was able to sing when I was young, but then all of a sudden, when I hit puberty, I lost my vibrato,
Oh
and
wow.
that was it. So I could sing background with them,
Yeah.
but they could all sing lead, and I couldn't. And so, but I'm the only one that ever got to record. That's weird, you know.
Wow.
But what was I getting at?
Last time you were on stage.
Oh yeah, so when that happened with Sugar Hill, a little while later, you know, someone invited me to church, and I went, and I kind of rededicated my life, and so I was doing, still committed to some shows with them, so I was doing them, and then something hit me, man, that day while we're in the middle of a show on stage, and I'm like, man, I don't even belong here,
Wow.
and I just walked off in the middle of the show. I
Wow.
walked off stage, man. We're all on stage performing. I walked off, and I told you that there was another guy in the group that came later on, Jimmy, Butch Kid.
Hmm.
And so I left, man, and I just left them. And I never got back on stage again.
Wow.
And so then years later, I connect with Butch Kid again through, all of a sudden, internet was allowing you to connect to.
Yeah.
So I see this guy's name, and I'm like, dang, that's Butch's name. And he had a Yahoo account. So I just emailed him, is this Butch Kid? Whatever, blah, 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 me, machine, whatever. And so then we connected, and he tells me, I dedicated my life to God too, man. And so then he's like, you know what? Remember that day that you left us hanging on stage? You walked off? I said, oh my God, Butch, I totally forgot about that. He goes, yeah, I never forgot it. He goes, man, I was so ticked off at you because you just left us hanging, man. You just walked right off in the middle. And he goes, but I understand now why you did it, And I want to say that I'm proud of you because you didn't care what we thought, what we would say. You went and just walked off because of your beliefs. Yeah. And I understand, man. I want to tell you that I was angry then, but I'm not, I'm not angry anymore because I understand.
Wow.
And that felt good,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
great stories, bro. Great stories, though.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, when you decide, if you decide, please keep us posted. If you decide to pick up the mic again.
Yeah. No problem. We'll do.
That would be very cool.
Here, I'll leave you with this. For the past few interviews, I've been leaving everybody with this. And I'm just going to say it. I'm not really going to rap it. Mm-hmm. As I read the Bible, I began to realize why the Father sent his Son upon this earth to die. The conviction of my heart, it brought a tear to my eye. See, Christ endured such cruelty for a sinner like me. He paid the price when he died for me on Calvary's tree. I once was blind, but now my eyes clearly see the sacrifice Christ became for you and me. You see, Jesus loves us. This I know. For the word of God, it tells me so. That all of us to him belong is true. We're weak, but he is strong. The Lord will stand by you like no other man. I see two sets of footprints within the sand. When times look rough, one is all I see. These were the days the Lord carried me. He has proven his love to me time and again. Pull me from the fire, result of my sin. Compare where I am now to where I might have been. I get on my knees just to praise him again and again. I thank him for loving me. It's undeserved. Meanwhile, the enemy tells me that my life is a blur, but I'm the one that owed the debt, and he paid the price. So, Jesus Christ, I owe you my life.
Mr. Schick.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
Anytime. Mr. Schick, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, where can people find you?
Absolutely.
On Instagram, on Facebook, Mr. Schick of the Meme Machine. And then on Instagram, it's Mr. Schick _TMM.
Okay. Fantastic.
Alrighty.
You heard it here. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Schick.
Yep.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. Take care.
You too.
All right.
Hey, don't forget to send me that mix by.
I will.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gotcha.
Take care, guys.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well.
Yep.
All right.
It is. Man.
Legendary status.
Some freaking history right there.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yep.
Yeah. Straight Maids.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Great stuff.
Whew.
Yep. All right. I don't know what to say. I'm just like, I'm soaking it all in, It's like, damn.
It's a little bit different when you're talking to somebody who was there.
Yeah, exactly. At the beginning, before it was hip hop.
Way different.
Kind of a trip.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yep. So dope.
Crazy.
I love hearing the graffiti stuff because that's stuff we don't hear about a lot, you know?
Right. I'm glad we got to talk about that because just that in that early history, I love all that stuff, man.
Yeah. So
yeah,
cool.
back when graffiti was a dangerous thing.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Back when you were getting jacked by somebody or somebody else, or
you know what? And that's the thing that I wasn't thinking about rival crews and stuff and stealing your shit.
Oh.
That rival crews, police.
The police.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was extremely dangerous.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
But you know what is not extremely dangerous? Our sponsor, Ultra Mag.
Oh God. Well, Flatline isn't here. I don't have a can, but I can tell you this: we are sponsored by Hackensack Brewing and the beer Auga by the Awesome 2. And this weekend at Hackensack Brewing, there's an Awesome 2 event. So the 23rd, I believe, is Sunday. There's an Awesome 2 event. If anybody's in the area, get over there. I believe DJ Soulbuck is going up there. Nice. But we are sponsored by Hackensack Brewing, the Awesome 2, and the beer Auga.
There you go. And we are also sponsored by the Spit Slam Record Label Group. The Spit Slam Record Label Group, a Chuck D situation. Catch us on your favorite streaming platform, on Bandcamp, or visit our official web store at spitslamrecords.com. All releases are available digitally or on CD, with select titles available on vinyl and cassette. The Spit Slam Record Label Group. Throwback to the future sound. Yes, indeedy. Go check out spitslamrecords.com or Spitslam Bandcamp. Check out what we got. Grab a Stetsasonic tape. Go stream it on your favorite streaming platform. Hey, we don't mind. Spread the word, please. It's all good. It's all help. And also, yes, there you go. Oh, future shot.
Or grab a
future shot. Future shot.
Yeah.
Also, download the Bring the Noise app.
Yes.
It is free. And
Bring the noise.
Goodness. Also, you can catch me and Flatline, who has the night off, along with Mr. Chuck D every Friday for the Andrew Don't Stop radio show. 2 hours of hip hop power. I play the Spit Slam Jam of the Week. Flatline comes through with the Hip Hop God segment. Lots of good stuff. You can check it out on the Rap Station or Mixcloud, or in certain select markets. It's actually on the radio. And, you can check out Jennifer O. Jenny, Ultramag 7, along with our man in Amsterdam, DJ Soul Buck, every Sunday night right here on Channel 0 for the mixtape, where they play the music of next week's guests. And so, who is what's DJ Soulbuck going to be spinning this weekend?
The one and only JVC Force.
JVC Force.
Tuesday is who? Ultra?
Huh?
Who's on Tuesday?
AJ.
Oh, you just said JVC Force.
Yeah.
AJ Rock and B-Love.
B-Love.
All right.
A and B.
I didn't know you wanted me to break it down.
The A and B of JVC. Yes, will be with us next week. Next Tuesday, right here on Channel 0, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check them out. Check out the mixtape. There's a little primer on Sunday night. Get ready for next week's show. And please follow us on Instagram. Right, Jenny? Or on Facebook.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's CDoc again. What's the address? Tell everybody what the address is, or
Facebook?
How to follow us. Yeah.
It's CDoc again. Instagram, it's CDoc again show.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at it's CDoc again official, I believe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Follow,
Official.
Like, subscribe, just do the whole thing.
The whole,
push the buttons, do the whole thing.
Do the whole thing. JOJ's on there. Of course, the Culture Clip King, Ultramax 7. If you're not following him, you're a sucker. Thanks for everybody watching live. Thanks for everybody watching on the replay. And join us next week for another episode of It's C-Doc again.
See ya.